The mockery of the galaxy. The galaxy had long known peace, a fragile peace built on the idea that strength came from technology, from advanced science, and from the dominance of civilizations that had risen far beyond the primitive species scattered throughout the stars. Among the many species that claimed vast territories and unchallenged authority, humanity was often seen as the underdog, a planet still struggling with war, poverty, and its own survival. To the rest of the galaxy, Earth was just a blip on the map, a minor world that had somehow survived long enough to draw attention. But no one really believed humanity posed any real threat. In the Grand Council chambers of the Galactic High Command, alien leaders from countless worlds gathered to discuss the latest inconvenience that had arisen from the human race. The meeting was full of representatives from powerful empires, each with fleets that could obliterate entire planets in a single strike. They came together to share news of humanity's recent actions, a series of small victories over invaders who underestimated them. But these victories were viewed with little more than disdain. Humans, still clinging to outdated technology, sneered Xerax, the reptilian commander from the Wernex Empire. His cold, calculating eyes scanned the council room as he spoke, his tail flicking behind him in frustration. They continue to claim that they are ready for something greater, but look at them. Their weapons are nothing compared to our fleets. Their ships are primitive and easily destroyed. His voice echoed with a deep sense of superiority. The others around the table murmured in agreement. None of them believed that humans could ever rise to the level of the galactic powers seated before them. Even the humans' most advanced weapons were laughable in comparison with the galactic empires. Indeed, added Tylox, the towering leader of the Voltrax Dominion. His deep, booming voice filled the room as he addressed the council. They even tried to defend their planet against our scouts. And what happened? They failed. Their so-called defense systems barely managed to ward off a single ship. Their attempts at resistance are pathetic. Xylox's words were met with a chorus of laughter. The aliens around the table found it amusing that humanity still believed they could compete. The idea of a human force that could stand against the galaxy's most powerful civilizations was, to them, absurd. How could they not see that their technology was outdated, their science behind the times, and their understanding of the universe primitive? Let's not waste any more time on them, Xerax continued, his voice dripping with contempt. I propose we end their brief reign of nuisance once and for all. We send our fleets to Earth and show them the true power of the galaxy. The Council agreed quickly. With their overwhelming fleets, the aliens would easily crush any resistance humanity could muster. The galaxy was too vast, and the humans were just one tiny speck among the countless stars. It was only a matter of time before Earth was subdued. Far from the council chambers, in the heart of the Sol system, humanity's leaders had been watching the developments carefully. The United Earth government had received whispers of the council's decision. The preparations on Earth were already underway, but few knew what was truly coming. To the galaxy, Earth was still a backward world. But to humanity, there was a secret they had kept hidden for generations, a secret that had remained untouched in the deepest reaches of space for centuries. Unbeknownst to the galaxy, Earth had been building something that would change everything. While the aliens laughed and mocked humanity, there was a quiet power stirring. Engineers, scientists, and military leaders had worked in secret, creating a weapon that would defy everything the galaxy thought they knew. A weapon so massive, so powerful, that no fleet, no matter how large, could ever stand against it. It was the culmination of years of work, human ingenuity pushed to its limits. It was a symbol of humanity's true potential. But for now, the rest of the galaxy would remain unaware. As the days passed, the alien fleet gathered, thousands of ships, each more powerful than anything humanity had ever seen, readied themselves to launch their assault on Earth. The High Command was confident. The human defenses were weak. The fleet was scattered and disorganized. They would crush the humans, and then the galaxy would finally be rid of their nuisance. The stage was set. The first ships entered the Sol system, passing the distant outer planets as they approached the blue planet in the center. They had no idea what was waiting for them. They didn't know that Earth had been watching and waiting, preparing in silence for this very moment. The humans had one chance, one shot to prove to the galaxy that they were not just an insignificant species, not just a primitive world that could be easily crushed. As the alien fleets neared Earth, the tension on the homeworld grew. Leaders from around the planet gathered to make their final decisions, but there was no fear in their hearts. The laughter from the Galactic Council still echoed in their minds, but humanity's response was not one of fear. It was a response born of determination. The aliens had made a grave mistake. They had underestimated humanity. As the enemy approached, Earth's defense systems activated. But the true power of humanity's final card had not yet been revealed. The galaxy would soon learn that humanity had been preparing for a fight on a scale never before imagined. And just as the alien ships prepared to strike, Earth's secret weapon roared to life. A ship unlike any other in the galaxy, a ship so massive it seemed to block out the stars around it. Its engines flared to life, and the massive form of the Titan-class ship began to emerge from the depths of space, shaking the very fabric of the galaxy. The alien commanders, who had laughed at humanity's feeble attempts at resistance, now found themselves gripped by fear. The battle had just begun. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for far too long, and now, as the alien fleets approached Earth with all their might, they were about to witness a power they never thought possible. The Titan-class ship was not just any weapon. It was a symbol of humanity's ingenuity, strength, and unwavering will to survive. It had been kept secret for years, a project that had consumed countless resources and untold hours of effort from Earth's best minds. And now, it was humanity's last line of defense. As the alien ships continued their journey toward Earth, the Titan sat quietly in the depths of space, hidden from all but the most advanced scanning technologies. The fleet had no idea what was coming. They saw Earth as a weak, insignificant planet, with no hope of surviving the might of their combined forces. But they couldn't have been more wrong. The first signs of the Titan's activation came when the ship's engines began to hum with power, sending ripples of energy through the fabric of space. The sheer size of the ship was enough to make even the most seasoned space commanders uneasy. Its hull, made from materials that no alien species had yet mastered, reflected the light of distant stars, casting a cold, ominous shadow across the surrounding space. It was a ship unlike any the galaxy had ever seen, massive, powerful, and built with one purpose: to ensure humanity's survival. Inside the ship, the crew moved with practiced precision. Soldiers, engineers, and strategists had spent years training for this moment, preparing to unleash humanity's full potential. The command center was a flurry of activity, as officers worked to ensure that every system was operational. It was a ship of war, but it was also a testament to what humanity could achieve when faced with impossible odds. As the Titan powered up, the alien fleets began to detect strange fluctuations in the nearby space. Their sensors, designed to detect the faintest energy signatures, picked up the unusual readings, but they couldn't make sense of them. The technology they used to monitor and assess threats was ineffective against the Titan's advanced systems. It was as if the ship didn't belong to their universe, a terrifying thought that began to spread among the alien commanders. On board the Titan, Captain Emma Harris, the leader of the ship's crew, stood before the holographic display of Earth's solar system. Her face was set in determination, her hands steady on the controls as she gave the final orders for the ship's weapon systems to come online. She knew what was at stake. This wasn't just a battle for Earth, it was a battle for humanity's future. The galaxy had mocked them for too long, and now it was time to show them the price of that mistake. "Prepare for launch," she said, her voice calm but filled with purpose. "Target coordinates locked. All systems are green." The crew responded in unison, their voices echoing through the ship's communication channels. There was no hesitation. No doubt. They knew what they had to do. Outside, in the vast emptiness of space, the alien fleet was closing in on Earth. Thousands of ships, each armed with weapons capable of destroying entire worlds, moved forward with calculated precision. The alien commanders, once so confident in their superiority, were now beginning to feel a strange unease. They had encountered many races in their time, but none had ever posed a serious threat. Until now. As the first waves of alien ships reached the outer edges of Earth's atmosphere, they received a transmission. It was a simple message, but one that would forever change the way the galaxy viewed humanity. "Your arrogance has cost you," the message said. It was broadcast on all frequencies, loud enough for every ship in the alien fleet to hear. "Prepare to face the consequences." The alien fleet commander, a seasoned general named Frax, scoffed at the message. It was typical of the humans, arrogant, thinking they could intimidate a force so much greater than themselves. He ordered his fleet to press forward, dismissing the threat as a mere bluff. But then, as the alien ships moved closer, something massive emerged from the shadows of space. The Titan-class ship rose into view, its colossal form blocking out the stars behind it. The alien fleet stopped in its tracks, all communication ceasing as their sensors struggled to comprehend what they were seeing. The Titan was not just a ship, it was a war machine of unimaginable scale, a behemoth that dwarfed every vessel in the alien fleet. For the first time in their lives, the aliens felt fear. The Titan moved forward slowly, its massive engines pulsing with energy as it adjusted its course toward the approaching fleet. On board, the crew was silent, waiting for the orders to be given. They had worked for this moment, knowing that their ship was not just a weapon, but a message. It was a message to the galaxy that humanity was not to be ignored. They were not the weak, insignificant species that the galaxy had believed them to be. As the alien fleet hesitated, unsure of how to respond to this unexpected threat, the Titan's weapons systems powered up. The ship's cannons, capable of launching devastating energy blasts, began to hum with energy. The Titan was ready for battle, and it would show the galaxy just what humanity was capable of. The first shot was fired. A brilliant beam of energy shot from the Titan's cannon, slicing through the void and striking the lid ship of the alien fleet. The explosion was deafening, sending shockwaves through the surrounding space. The alien vessel disintegrated instantly, reduced to nothing more than dust and debris. The rest of the fleet, still in shock from the appearance of the Titan, watched as their comrades were torn apart by the sheer power of humanity's new weapon. The galaxy's laughter had turned to silence. The Titan-class ship was no longer just a symbol of human strength. It was a warning. Humanity would no longer be the galaxy's punching bag. The aliens had made a grave mistake, and now they would pay the price. The battle had begun. The shockwaves from the first blast had barely faded when the Titan-class ship fired again, this time with even greater force. The beam cut through space like a knife through butter, annihilating 2 alien vessels in its path. Their remains scattered across the void, a chilling testament to the raw power of humanity's newest weapon. On the alien ships, chaos erupted. Communications between the fleet commanders were frantic, their voices filled with confusion and fear. Vrax, the alien fleet commander, stood frozen before his console, unable to comprehend what he was witnessing. His pride and confidence had been shattered with the destruction of his ships. He had believed that humanity was weak, unprepared for the scale of the galactic war that had been waged for millennia. But now, in the blink of an eye, his entire fleet was in disarray. "Reform the fleet," Vrax shouted, his voice crackling with panic. "Retreat. We need to regroup and rethink our strategy. This is no ordinary enemy." But it was too late. The Titan wasn't done. It moved forward with terrifying precision, its massive hull cutting through space as it positioned itself between Earth and the remaining alien ships. Its weapons continued to fire, each blast a testament to humanity's technological might. The alien fleet, once so confident in its ability to wipe out any threat, now found itself retreating from the onslaught. On board the Titan, the crew was resolute, focused. They had trained for this moment, and now the culmination of years of preparation was unfolding before their eyes. Captain Emma Harris stood in the command center, her face lit by the soft glow of the console as she issued commands with calm authority. "Initiate the next phase. We have them on the run," she said, her voice steady despite the overwhelming situation. She knew that this battle was far from over. The aliens were retreating for now, but they would regroup. The galaxy was vast, and many other alien forces would soon come to challenge humanity. "Yes, Captain," came the reply from her officers as the ship's weapons continued to fire, cutting through the alien fleet with surgical precision. The Titan's main cannon powered up once more, the humming of the immense energy charging filling the command center. Everyone on board knew what was coming. This next strike would be a decisive one. It would not only send a message to the aliens, but to the entire galaxy. As the beam was released, it tore through space with blinding intensity. The lead alien flagship, which had been attempting to regroup at the back of the fleet, was obliterated in an instant. The blast sent a shockwave through the remaining ships, shaking their systems and knocking many off course. The flagship's destruction was a significant blow to the alien forces, and it served as a brutal reminder of humanity's strength. The survivors in the alien fleet now found themselves in an impossible position. Their commander had been destroyed, their morale shattered, and their fleet was on the brink of collapse. For the first time in their long history of war, the aliens found themselves not as conquerors but as the defeated. "We can't keep running," one of the alien commanders muttered, his voice full of frustration and disbelief. "We need to strike back, or we'll lose everything." Vrax, however, had lost his nerve. He couldn't bear the thought of sending his fleet back into the jaws of certain destruction. He turned toward his second-in-command, desperation in his voice. "Prepare to retreat to the outer rim," Vrax ordered. "We'll regroup there and figure out how to stop this ship." But it was too late. The Titan was already closing in on their position. With one final, devastating salvo from its weapons, the remaining alien ships were decimated. Explosions filled space as their vessels were torn apart. The Titan had become an unstoppable force, a symbol of humanity's unyielding power. As the last of the alien ships were destroyed, silence fell across the battlefield. The Titan hovered in the center of the void, its weapons now silent but its power still palpable. The crew of the Titan watched in awe as the aftermath of the battle unfolded. The galaxy had learned a harsh lesson today. Humanity was not to be underestimated. Captain Harris stood tall, her eyes scanning the screen as the wreckage of the alien fleet drifted into the void. There was no triumph in her expression, only the grim realization of what this battle had cost, and what it meant for the future. "We've won this round," she said quietly, "but the war is far from over. We've just made enemies across the galaxy." Her words were a sobering reminder of the challenges ahead. The Titan had proven humanity's strength, but now the galaxy would know them as a serious threat. And that meant that more battles, more challenges, and more enemies would come. The crew of the Titan had delivered a powerful blow to the alien invaders, but they all knew that their victory was just the beginning. This was humanity's first true test in a galaxy that had long ignored them. The Titan-class ship had changed the balance of power, and the galaxy would never be the same again. As the Titan turned to face Earth once more, the crew silently reflected on what they had achieved. They had stood against the galaxy's might and emerged victorious. But they knew they had to stay vigilant. The galaxy had seen humanity's power, but it was only a matter of time before it came to test them again. Humanity was no longer a laughingstock. The galaxy had learned its lesson, and now it would have to reckon with the consequences. The aftermath of the battle lingered in the silence of space. The debris from the destroyed alien ships floated in the vast emptiness, a reminder of the might of humanity's weaponry. The Titan remained poised, a beacon of strength, as the remaining alien fleets scattered into the distant corners of the galaxy. Captain Harris stood at the command center, her eyes scanning the starfield outside. Though the immediate danger had passed, she knew this was far from over. The Titan was more than just a ship, it was a symbol of humanity's defiance against those who thought they could dominate them. The aliens had thought they could destroy Earth, break its spirit, but they were wrong. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was resilient. And now, the galaxy knew it. Captain, Lieutenant Ramirez's voice broke through her thoughts. We've received a transmission from the Galactic Council. They want to speak with us. The mention of the Galactic Council sent a chill through the room. The Council, made up of representatives from every advanced species in the galaxy, had been the ones to ignore humanity's potential for centuries. They had treated Earth as a fringe world, a backwater planet, unworthy of attention or respect. And now, after humanity's stunning display of power, they were eager to speak with them. Put them through, Captain Harris ordered, her tone firm, yet tinged with the suspicion that had begun to grow in her chest. A few moments later, the image of the Galactic Council's leader, Supreme Chancellor Corrin, flickered onto the screen. He was a tall, thin being with an elongated face and large violet eyes. His species, the Vortex, was known for its wisdom, but also its unyielding pride. And in the past, they had not been kind to humanity. Captain Harris, Corrin said, his voice smooth and calculated, we wish to express our surprise at your actions. The Galactic Council is interested in discussing the events of the last battle. We believe there is much to discuss. Captain Harris didn't miss the underlying tone of condescension in his voice. He was trying to regain control of the situation. He had underestimated humanity, and now he was looking for a way to save face. Surprised, are you? Harris replied, her voice cold. I would have thought the Council would be more aware of what humanity is capable of. After all, you've ignored our warnings for centuries. Corrin's eyes narrowed slightly, though he tried to maintain his composure. You misunderstand, Captain. This is not about underestimating humanity. It is about understanding your place in the galaxy. You have done something extraordinary, but you must realize that this will have consequences. The galaxy is not a place where any species can simply act without repercussions. Harris stood her ground. Consequences? Is that what you call it? You've spent centuries disregarding us, treating us like nothing more than a backwater planet. And now that we've shown our power, you want to talk about consequences. Maybe the consequences are yours to face. The room fell silent for a moment. Corrin's expression hardened. I would advise caution, Captain. You have made a powerful enemy today. The Galactic Council may choose to take a more aggressive stance, especially with the factions that you've angered. We suggest you reconsider your actions. Captain Harris crossed her arms. You think we're afraid of your threats, Corrin. You think humanity is going to back down just because you give us an ultimatum. Let me tell you something. We've been underestimated for far too long. You'll learn soon enough that humanity doesn't fear anyone, not even the Council. Corrin's eyes glinted with something akin to frustration, but he didn't respond immediately. Instead, he gestured to someone off-screen. A moment later, a hologram of a map appeared on the screen, detailing the locations of various alien forces and fleets. Corrin's voice returned, laced with a calculated calm. This is not just about the Council, Captain. This is about the entire galaxy. The factions you've attacked are not going to sit idly by. They will retaliate, and the consequences of your actions will be felt across the stars. If you wish to continue this path, you must be prepared for what comes next. Harris studied the map, her mind racing. The factions Corrin referred to were powerful and ruthless. Some had fleets that rivaled even the Titan, and their thirst for conquest had been evident for centuries. But there was one thing that Corrin and the others still failed to understand. Humanity was not the same species they had ignored for so long. "We're ready for whatever comes," Harris finally said, her voice steady. "You'll see just how ready we are." Corin's hologram flickered, and for a brief moment, it seemed as though he wanted to say something further. But then, the transmission was cut off. The message was clear. Humanity had just declared its own path, and there would be no turning back. The crew of the Titan exchanged glances. They knew the situation was escalating, and they were aware of the dangers ahead. But they also knew that they had something that the galaxy hadn't seen in centuries: the will to fight, the ability to adapt, and the power to strike when needed. "Captain," Lieutenant Ramirez spoke again, his voice filled with determination. "What do we do now?" Captain Harris took a deep breath, looking out at the stars. The Titan had done more than just destroy a fleet. It had sent a message to the galaxy. Humanity was not a species to be ignored or oppressed. They were a force to be reckoned with, and as the Titan sailed into the unknown, it carried the weight of that message, one that would echo through the galaxy for generations to come. "We prepare," Harris said, her voice low but resolute. "The galaxy may think it can challenge us, but it will soon learn the truth. Humanity is unbeatable, and they'll regret underestimating us." The Titan turned towards the horizon of space, the hum of its engines a constant reminder of what humanity had become. The galaxy had been warned. Now, they would face the full might of Earth's most powerful weapon: humanity's unrelenting will to survive. The silence of space stretched endlessly before the Titan, but the crew knew it was only the calm before the storm. The battle had ended, but the war was just beginning. Across the galaxy, alien factions were rallying their forces, mobilizing fleets larger than anything humanity had ever faced. The destruction of the enemy armada had sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. No longer could they afford to laugh at humanity's supposed weakness. No longer could they dismiss Earth as a minor, insignificant world. Inside the command center, Captain Harris studied the latest intelligence reports. The screens around her flickered with data, fleet movements, intercepted transmissions, and reports of growing hostilities. Every major faction that had once ignored humanity was now discussing how to respond. Some wanted immediate retaliation. Others hesitated, uncertain if they truly wanted to provoke a species that had just annihilated an entire fleet with a single warship. Lieutenant Ramirez stood beside her, his expression grim. "Captain, we've confirmed that multiple enemy fleets are converging. They're not just regrouping. They're preparing for an all-out war." Harris didn't flinch. She had expected this. The aliens had no choice but to respond with overwhelming force. It was the only way they could maintain their illusion of superiority. "How long until they reach us?" she asked, her voice steady. "Best estimate, less than 48 hours, Ramirez replied. "And from the numbers we're seeing, they're throwing everything they have at us. This isn't just about revenge. They want to wipe us out before we can become a real threat." Harris turned her gaze back to the massive tactical display, where holographic models of enemy fleets swarmed like insects. This was more than just a battle. It was a test. The galaxy wanted to see if humanity could survive when truly challenged. "They think brute force will break us," she said after a moment. "They think if they send enough ships, they can crush us before we have a chance to rise. But they don't understand what they're dealing with." A quiet murmur ran through the command crew. They had all seen what the Titan was capable of. They had watched as the most powerful fleet in the sector was reduced to wreckage in minutes, and they knew one thing for certain: humanity did not fight fair. A chime interrupted the tense atmosphere. "Incoming transmission," the comms officer reported. "It's from Earth." The screen flickered, and a new face appeared: Fleet Admiral Carter, the supreme commander of the Terran Defense Force. His presence alone was enough to silence the room. "Captain Harris," Carter said, his voice firm, "you've done well, but this fight is far from over. The Council's forces are gathering, and we've confirmed that at least 3 major factions have formally declared war on humanity. They think they can erase us before we can retaliate. Harris nodded. Then they've miscalculated. Again. A rare smile touched Carter's lips. That's exactly why we're not going to wait for them to come to us. We're launching a counteroffensive. Murmurs spread through the bridge crew. Ramirez's eyes widened slightly. Sir, do we have the forces to pull that off? Carter's smile deepened. The Titan was never alone. The screen shifted to a live feed from deep space reconnaissance units. One by one, massive warships emerged from the darkness. Dozens, then hundreds. The fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Human engineering at its finest. Warships of immense size, each one bristling with weaponry that no alien race had accounted for. Some were brand new prototypes never before deployed. Others were legendary vessels that had been hidden away, waiting for the right moment to strike. We've been preparing for this for years, Carter continued. While the aliens ignored us, we built. We advanced. We became something they could never predict. Now it's time to show them that Earth doesn't just survive. We dominate. A deep silence settled over the bridge. The weight of what was happening sank in. This wasn't just another battle. This was the turning point. The moment when humanity stopped defending and started conquering. Harris straightened, her expression hardening. Orders, sir. Carter's voice was iron. The Titan will spearhead the assault. You'll lead the fleet straight into their lines. Show them what happens when they challenge humanity. A slow grin spread across Harris's face. With pleasure, Admiral. The transmission ended, leaving only the soft hum of the ship's systems. Harris turned to her crew. You heard him. We take the fight to them. The bridge erupted into action. The Titan's engines roared to life as the fleet aligned for its jump. Across the galaxy, the alien forces were assembling, believing they had the advantage. But what they didn't realize was that they were not facing a species that played by their rules. The war had begun, and humanity was about to teach the galaxy what true power looked like. The silence of space was shattered as the Titan surged forward, leading the charge of the newly formed human fleet. Behind it, hundreds of warships followed in perfect formation, each one a testament to humanity's ingenuity and determination. The enormous fleet, a mix of sleek new designs and older battle-hardened ships, had been prepared for this moment for years, but now they were facing an enemy unlike any they had ever encountered. Captain Harris stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning the tactical display. Ahead, the enemy fleets loomed. There were thousands of ships, massive war cruisers, destroyers and carriers, their weapons bristling and ready for combat. The size of the enemy forces might have seemed overwhelming to anyone else, but not to humanity. They had faced impossible odds before, and they had always overcome them. We're approaching the enemy lines, Ramirez reported, his voice calm but tense. They've formed a blockade around the core world, but they don't know what's coming. Harris nodded. Good. Hold position. We'll hit them fast and hard. Prepare for battle. Her voice was steady, but inside, a fierce fire burned. This was the moment humanity had been waiting for, a chance to show the galaxy that it had underestimated them, that they were not the weak, primitive species the galaxy had once laughed at. Captain, Lieutenant Ramirez said, glancing up from his console, they're charging weapons. They're going to open fire any second. Let them, Harris said with a sharp smile. They can't even begin to comprehend the firepower we've got. As if on cue, the first wave of enemy ships opened fire. Beams of energy shot across the darkness, striking against the shields of the Titan and the other warships in the human fleet. The explosions lit up the vastness of space like fireworks, but the shields held. The human ships took the hits, their hulls groaning under the strain, but the technology of Earth was built to endure. Shields holding steady, Ramirez reported, his fingers flying across the controls. Our countermeasures are active. We'll be able to return fire shortly. Good, Harris said, her eyes narrowing. Now let's show them why they were wrong to challenge us. She raised her hand, signaling the start of the counterattack. The Titan's massive guns fired, sending an array of energy blasts crashing into the enemy ships. Each shot hit its mark with deadly precision, sending smaller alien cruisers spiraling out of control. The explosions were magnificent, like the death throes of ancient giants, as the power of humanity's most advanced weaponry tore through alien vessels like paper. The battle raged on, each side sending wave after wave of fire across the expanse of space. The human fleet had the advantage of better tactics, better technology, and a deep well of experience in combat. Every ship was perfectly coordinated, each captain and crew member working in perfect unison to bring down the enemy. The alien fleets, for all their numbers, were unprepared for the sheer strength and precision of humanity's retaliation. Harris's eyes never left the tactical screen, her mind calculating the next move. She watched as one of the largest alien cruisers, the flagship of the enemy fleet, shifted into position, its weapons primed to fire on the Titan. It was the enemy's final desperate push. "Deploy the graviton torpedoes," Harris ordered. "Lock on to their flagship. Let's end this." The graviton torpedoes were humanity's most devastating weapon. Powered by the same technology that had allowed the Titan to decimate the first enemy fleet, these torpedoes could alter the very fabric of space. A single shot could disable an entire fleet, turning the tide of battle in an instant. The launch bay doors opened, and the torpedoes shot forward, faster than light. The enemy flagship tried to maneuver, but it was too slow. The torpedoes locked on, and within seconds, they struck. The result was catastrophic. The flagship was torn apart in an instant. The energy from the explosion lit up the battlefield, and in the heart of the shockwave, the alien fleet faltered. The once proud armada was now in disarray, unable to respond to the overwhelming firepower of the human forces. "Direct hit," Ramirez shouted, a wide grin on his face. "The flagship is gone. They're retreating." Harris allowed herself a small smile, but her eyes remained cold. The battle wasn't over yet. There were still more alien ships in space, and they wouldn't retreat without a fight. The remaining enemy forces, though rattled by the loss of their flagship, regrouped and tried to form a defense around their remaining vessels. But it was too late. The human fleet had already gained the upper hand. The remaining alien ships were scattered and destroyed one by one, unable to withstand the onslaught. The battle that had begun as a seemingly insurmountable conflict was now drawing to a close. Humanity had taken the first steps to proving that it was not a species to be trifled with, and that the galaxy had made a grave mistake in underestimating them. But as the last of the enemy ships were wiped from the skies, Harris couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The galaxy had learned the hard way what humanity was capable of, but many factions had not yet seen their wrath. The victory was a start, but there was much more to come. "Prepare for the next phase," Harris ordered. "We're not done yet." The final explosion echoed across the battlefield as the last remnants of the alien fleet disintegrated into space dust. The once dominant force that had mocked humanity for centuries was no more. In its place stood the human fleet, victorious, unstoppable, and ready for whatever came next. But as the aftermath of the battle settled in, Captain Harris knew that the true significance of this victory was only just beginning to unfold. The communication system buzzed, and a calm voice came through. It was the High Command back on Earth, awaiting Harris's report. "Captain Harris," the voice said. "Status report. Was the mission successful?" Harris looked out the viewports of the Titan as the final alien ship vanished into space. The stars around her fleet seemed almost serene now, a stark contrast to the chaos of just moments before. "Mission complete," she replied, her voice steady, but tinged with the weight of the moment. "The enemy fleet is destroyed. We've secured our position." There was a pause before the voice on the other end responded. "Understood. You've done humanity proud, Captain. But we know this isn't the end. The galaxy will now understand that humanity is no longer the weak, untested species they thought they could crush." Harris turned away from the window and faced her crew. The bridge was silent for a moment, as if the entire ship was taking in the enormity of what had just happened. They had just defeated one of the largest and most powerful fleets the galaxy had ever seen, with nothing more than their courage, their skill, and the power of human technology. But the true impact of this victory would not be felt by them alone. "It's just the beginning," Harris muttered under her breath. She turned to the communications officer. "Send a message to the entire fleet. It's time to let the galaxy know exactly who we are." A few moments later, the message was transmitted across the stars, broadcasting through every channel and communication relay in the galaxy. "We are humanity. For too long, we've been mocked, ignored, and underestimated. No more. This is just the beginning of our rise. And to those who would dare stand in our way, know this: we are not afraid. We are unstoppable. We have just begun to show you what we can do." Harris's words resonated across the vast emptiness of space. Even though the message was directed at the remnants of the alien empire, it was clear that the message would reach far beyond them. The entire galaxy was watching. Within minutes, reports began to flood in from across the galaxy. Some were of shock, others of disbelief, and many of fear. The same factions that had once dismissed humanity as a primitive species now understood the truth. They had made a grave mistake. And as the galaxy trembled at the thought of what humanity could do, Harris and her fleet prepared for what came next. It wasn't just about one battle anymore. It was about the future. The message had been sent, and now the galaxy would never forget the power of humanity. As the human fleet moved into the next sector, Captain Harris stood at the front of the bridge, staring out into the stars. The war wasn't over, but the balance of power had already begun to shift. The galaxy was no longer a place of uncertainty for humanity. They had proved their strength, and in doing so, they had changed the course of history forever. "The galaxy will tremble, not with fear of us, but with respect," Harris thought, a steely resolve in her eyes. Humanity had just shown the universe its true power, and there was no going back. "We're just getting started," she whispered to herself, as the fleet continued its silent march toward the next stage of their mission. And with that, the universe knew humanity was no longer something to be ignored. The galaxy was now on notice, and its reckoning had only just begun.